Now, into the 1960s, things continued in that same pathway. That's Brad Steiger, who's a very well-known, famous author on all sorts of paranormal phenomena, who I'm sure many of you know Brad's name. Well, Brad had a number of run-ins with the Men in Black over the years, which to this day continues to ensure that he still takes a deep interest in the subject. And actually, in the new book, Brad provided a paper for me about his own experiences with the Men in Black in the 1960s. And again, they sound very much like Albert Bender's extremely weird Men in Black. For example, at the height of Brad's research, he began to find that a number of his friends were being visited by the Men in Black, and they were essentially threatening his friends and telling his friends to tell Steiger to stop this research. And perhaps the most chilling story is that a friend of Brad's was on vacation in London, England in the mid-60s. And, you know, he's doing the tourist thing, going to Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, places like that. Everywhere he was going, he would see this trio of guys following him. And what was strange was that, you know, they had the black suits, the black fedoras, but they were only about 5 feet tall. You know, their skin was sort of, you know, the colour of this sheet of paper. They looked anemic and just not well. And everywhere he went, he would see them sort of 100 yards behind or 100 feet behind, just shadowing him. He got back to his hotel room one night, went to bed, and something just prompted him to wake up in the middle of the night. Went to the window, and there were these 3 guys stood underneath the street light, just looking up at his hotel room window. And this really freaked out Brad's friend, and to the point where he decided to cut his vacation short. Well, before he actually left London, the 3 guys approached him and said, "You're a friend of Brad Steiger, aren't you?" It was more of a statement than a question, and he said, "Well, yeah." And they said, "Tell him we will visit him at Christmas time," which kind of sounds, you know, a little bit ominous. But fortunately, Brad didn't get a visitation, but it was enough to make him realise that somebody somewhere was trying to intimidate him. And it was during this period as well that Brad had a lot of, for example, telephone interference and strange noises on the line, what sounded like chattering voices in a foreign language, but which couldn't be deciphered. And of course, you know, some people might well become intimidated by this, you know, the idea of getting hang-up phone calls at 2 or 3 in the morning from the Men in Black. And as I said, although it didn't, you know, Brad's not the sort of person to back down from something like that, which is good. But it did make him realise that, wow, when you get into this subject, you can find yourself on the receiving end of these kind of events.